Okay, let's jump into this lawsuit real quick.
Yeah.
All right, so we start off with you, Mal. Team Natasha or Team Disney?
Team Natasha all the way.
Mike?
Team Natasha.
Kitano?
Team Natasha.
Okay. I am going to go 75% Natasha, 25% Disney.
You didn't give us that option.
I'm still
100% Natasha.
I'm still 100%.
You didn't give us that
Natasha.
option.
You know what? Hey, it's your fault for not taking it. Here's why. For me, right? I don't believe Disney did it maliciously. I believe they were between a rock and a hard place. The fans, the investors, everybody wanted this movie to be released. Keep in mind, there was so much that Marvel needed to drop, but they were behind a year and a half, almost 2 years because of the pandemic. Right?
I really don't.
It was a rock and hard place.
I don't really get the rock and hard place analogy. And you said this to me offline before, and I still don't get it. And the reason why I don't get it is because Disney pays their law team to like handle stuff like this. It did not have stuff like this happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this perceived notion that they're in a rock and a hard spot is, I think it makes them seem more like amateurs than anything else.
True.
But Disney's in control.
True.
They control
in
everything.
In the insurance game, right? There's something called actual authority and apparent authority.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who works in insurance can tell you that's a thing, right? And again, because the contract states one thing, you have to follow the contract to the letter, or you violate the contract, or you end up,
which is what we're talking about,
right? But what I'm saying is they chose to violate that contract. But let me ask you a question: with us not putting our eyes on the contract, is there a act of God clause that's within the contract? Because
absolutely not.
If there's an act of God clause, the global pandemic is an act of God. They couldn't control that, right?
Hey, look, we put act of God clauses in our contracts with our contractors. If a little company of 11 people does that, then you telling me all of y'all saying that a company like Disney and their law team doesn't have an act of God contract?
I believe it was in there. I believe it was in there. And if that's the case, then Scarlett doesn't have a case.
Yeah, but this is not an act of God.
I still feel like she was cheated.
Okay, yes.
It is not an act of God.
It's not an act of God.
Exactly, because it is a man-made virus.
Whether or not it's a
Whether or not it's
a man-made virus or not, right? Because
act of God does not apply.
We are not.
And here's the reason why.
Okay, so you mean to tell me that the millions of people who died?
No, it's not about that. The breach of contract comes in when they decided to put it on Disney Plus.
True.
And didn't just release it in the movie theater.
True, but you had some people that was not going to go.
That
to
has
the movie
nothing
theater.
to do with act of God.
Okay, but you had
nothing to do with act of God.
You had a lot of people that was,
and they've also had way more time to get with her team and say, hey, we would like to do this moving forward, but according to the contract, this is what we agreed to. So we need to go back to the table. Because remember, Black Widow was released long after the country started reopening and movie theaters started opening up again. So that's why your act of God does not apply, because this happened after
movie theaters are still open.
Yes,
right.
But movie theaters are also still closed. It's not the entire world.
Ton of them open
listen,
now,
man, there's the entire world is not fully open. The entire world is still dealing with places that are shut down because of this global pandemic.
Yeah, in my fantasy world,
think of a place that is still closed because of COVID with the intention of reopening. People that are closed now, they are not reopening because COVID shut their business down. Everyone's open.
Right. Well, I mean there
like
are
Katana said,
I mean, I don't want to get political.
Like Katana said, they had the opportunity to go to Scarlett's people and say, hey, we want to do this. Let's work out a new contract. But they ignored that contract and they went and did it anyway. There was opportunity to make it right, and they ignored that. And you can't tell me that Disney's lawyers and everything didn't think of that. They just chose not to.
I am with Rain.
Listen, man. Listen, man. I don't disagree with what you're saying, right? I'm just saying. I just think it was a sticky situation. It's not as easy as black and white.
All right.
It is as easy as we said it was.
Listen, they violated a contract, but you don't know what they were facing.
Contract's a contract.
Let me ask you a question.
Right.
Let me ask you a question right now. Let's say they didn't put it on Disney Plus. Do you think that the amount of money that they have gotten, that they would have gotten that amount of money if they didn't put it on Disney Plus?
I think that they would have had more theatrical dollars.
You don't think that Natasha wanted her movie to be released? You don't think she waited long enough? The only gripe
they may not have made as much
the only
money
gripe
in
she
total,
had was that
but
they
the
dropped it on
theatrical
Disney
release
Plus.
would have made more money.
Man, the only gripe she had
The theatrical
is that she cannot eat substantial amount of royalties because they put it on Disney Plus as well. And in that case alone, it was cruddy what Disney did. But you still had 3/4 of the world or 1/3% of the world that was not going out to go to no theater to watch this movie.
Right, but then you also had governments. I don't want to get political, but there were governments. Yeah, I would have waited until there was like governments like New York and stuff that were keeping things shut down. I would have waited until things like that were opening up, like Florida and Texas, to release that.
Yes, and you had fans.
Forget all that. Just renegotiate the terms.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
that's all they have to do.
That's all you got to do is renegotiate.
Absolutely, I agree with that. They should have renegotiated.
So that's why your act of God does not apply, because they should have renegotiated.
They could have, they should have. It's not like they tried to and they ignored them or she denied them or anything like that. It didn't happen.
Now, I'll give you a reason why they wouldn't do it if they believe that she can't win.
I don't know. We're gonna find.
If they believe she can't win,
we're gonna.
Then they're like, hey,
we're gonna find out here. And I don't know if it's going to be a few months or if it's going to be up to a year or two. I don't know. She just filed it. And sometimes some of these cases could go on for years.
They'll probably settle, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll probably just
absolutely. Settle. Disney is going to pay her. Disney's going to pay her like $100 million and shut her up and walk away from her.
Yeah.
Right. They already cut her off from the Tower of Terror.
Yeah, I think that's a real shame. I think they're losing more than they're gaining by doing that because
Well, are they though? Because here's the thing: if she's dead, how can they bring her back?
Well, I mean, not even that, but like just her personality and her skills in like Tower of Terror. I was so invested in that film, and it would have been such an amazing way to Twilight Zone. Everyone likes the CBS Jordan Peele one, but the Disney Scarlett Johansson Tower of Terror film would have driven so much energy into the property that already is so popular in the parks, and I just think it's such a shame. I think it's a loss, but they made the decision that they made. So
it's a bully move because
it is.
They are basically telling her, we want nothing to do with you because you are trying to get what you are due.
Yeah.
Like if you don't roll over on this, you will not be a part of any of our future endeavors.
That's possible. That's very possible. But it's also possible that this is business. This is one side of our business, and the acting is another side of the business.
Right.
And if they believe that she's the person for the role, then they might still approach her again about the role, because what happened over there is something completely different.
True.
Did they cancel the movie?
That's what I've heard, that it's been canceled.
Yeah, they're not even doing the movie anymore.
Yeah.
Which movie are we talking about?
The
Tower of Terror.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, they dropped the whole thing.
I was so excited about that project, so color me disappointed.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely will see. Do you think that we'll see her in anything else? Do you think we're gonna see her in a What If episode?
I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm running a company, there is a level of respect, emotion, and logic that I'm going to use about making my decisions. And so if someone sues me, I might feel slighted, which means I probably would not want to hire them for anything ever again. So I think it's possible that you won't see her doing any more Disney projects.
Sad.
Yeah.
And with What If being animated, they don't, necessarily even need her because they own Black Widow.
Right.
Yeah, they've recast a couple people who weren't returning just because of whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So
well, it's a wrap. I think her story has come to an end though. So I don't think we're gonna see her again.
And she may have thought that out as well and figured that this is worth more than trying to have a future with Disney. So
and honestly, I respect her for sticking to her guns and not just
I mean, every now and then you have to stand up to the big guy, right? So
yeah.
Apac.